Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are. Very excited to have you here joining us for the August Threat Modeling Connect community meetup. If you're new to Threat Modeling Connect, we are a global community dedicated to all things threat modeling. We are all about supporting each other's on our threat modeling journey. So very happy to have you all here. We host a variety of events throughout the year, including now the pretty famous in the threat modeling space, the annual Threat MockCon. We just finished your first European edition in Lisbon I think in June 2 months ago. I know a couple of you, we get to know each other from that event, which is awesome. We also host the annual Threat MockCon, the Threat Modeling Connect hackathon. And I know some of you, actually several of you here, get to know us or get to know each other from the hackathon, which is awesome. I hope to see you next year. And we are going to have our last Threat MockCon this year, the second North American edition in San Francisco next month. So I hope I will be there. So I hope to get to see many of you there. So, and if you're new to this monthly meetup, it's just a quick, I just give an idea, what to expect. So this is a safe place, a supportive place for you to share your experience doing threat modeling, a safe place to experiment ideas, to get feedback, and it's a safe place to offer feedback to each other. So each month we have one of our members come in and to share their threat modeling story. Sometimes it's a case study, sometimes they demo some of the cool projects, the cool tools, the cool framework that they're building. And I'm very excited to have Hendrik joining us this month as our speaker to share the threat modeling framework that he's been building, and that's released last year and has been receiving very good feedback across the community. And I know that part of his goal is to learn from you and to continue to improve his framework with inputs from all of you. So don't be shy to share your feedback with him, either through the breakout sessions, which we'll have after his presentation, or connect directly with him on LinkedIn after this. And we do follow Shannon House rules, so you're free to use any information received here, but please don't share the identity of the people who share that information. Yeah, and since last month where we have this small group breakout room discussions. So big shout out to our facilitator today, Laura, Mila, Maria, Lilith,
Yay.
and Hendrik, of course, and Amit. Yeah, very excited that we'll have this breakout room so that you can dive into the discussion deeper and have a more comfortable setting to share. So that's about my intro. After the breakout room discussion, we'll have about like a 10 minutes insight sharing and readouts. Your facilitators will share more about that when you get into the rooms. I will do a quick closing and announcement to wrap things up. But before I kick it over to Hendrik for the presentation, I'm just gonna take a quick infamous Threat Modeling Connect monthly meetup photos. If you're ready, oops. If you're ready, feel free to turn on your camera. If just for this session, that's awesome. This we will share this in our community as well as on LinkedIn later on. So turn on your camera. Photo time. All right, I'll count 3, 2, 1. I'll give you 10 seconds if you just getting ready. All right, so 5, 4. Oops, I got more pictures that I can fit in my screen, so I may need to take 2. All right, I'll take the first one. All right, so 3, 2, 1, cheese. And I'll take the second one. 3, 2, 1, cheese. All right, I got some people just joined, missed the photo, unfortunately. So, that's something we learned. You should join earlier. All right, so I am going to kick it over to Hendrik so he can share his framework with us. Take it over, Hendrik. Thank you, Hendrik.
Yay. Okay. Hi. Welcome to my Threat Modeling Connect meetup on meta-threat modeling. I'm very excited to be here. And so sometimes mitigation is not as powerful as expected. And that's just one of 99 problems that can go wrong with threat modeling. And what about your threat modeling program? Is it a success? What does that even mean? So we're taking a step back today and looking at this. So here's what you will take home today. First, we can threat model all kinds of things, including processes. You will learn how. The threat modeling or threat modeling. And you can threat model your program too, which we will also do together. So here's a quick agenda. I'll first start with basics of threat modeling, then dive into meta threat modeling, and we'll also have excursions together. So I'm very excited about this. A little something about me. I work as a cybersecurity architect at VISUS Health IT GmbH. Hello to my colleagues also, where I get to run the AppSec program. I'm very much in love with threat modeling and end-to-end encryption, and I also like philosophy. So yeah. Let's start with threat modeling. What is threat modeling really? I have a very simple definition of secure. Secure is, from my perspective, protected from danger. So the obvious question is what danger and how are we protected? And danger is possibility of harm occurring. So these are things that we first need to find. And then the question is how likely, how bad. So we can make conscious decisions about protection and really reduce likelihood and harm. And very many people follow Adam's four-question frame for threat modeling, which is what are we working on? What can go wrong? What are we going to do about it? And did we do a good enough job? And what we see quite often is that people plug in all kinds of building blocks that together build a methodology so they can find out how to be protected from danger. And another cool feature about threat modeling is that we can really foresee the problems and really solve threats before they become real problems. So why not apply the same for threat modeling? This is where meta threat modeling kicks in. Let's just apply threat modeling to threat modeling itself. And so maybe we can prevent some, did we do a good job? No. By really thinking about it beforehand, designing the process, and then solving the problems. So how do we threat model a process? Usability comes in handy. So it's defined in ISO and roughly can be defined as how well your offer helps people achieve their goals. And usability has three properties. First is effectiveness. Do we achieve the goal? Second is efficiency. So quality in relation to expense. And the third is satisfaction. So do people like the activity? So these are things we can look at and directly swap them and change them into harm categories. So a blocker might be we get stuck or fail. Inefficiency is we can have plenty of effort or receive bad results or both. Or people might get frustrated, and of course they are somehow dependent, but we can look at our process and really ask this in terms of harm. What is it? So here's the definitions of usability. I keep them for the recording. It's basically what I showed earlier. So back to threat modeling. What do threat modelers want? They want to secure the system. Okay, what does it mean? We want to threat model the right thing. We want to find relevant threats. We want to find appropriate mitigations. And also we want to see these mitigations implemented. And what we do is we offer as process designers a process or threat modeling program. And our question is, will they achieve their goals? And this is what we threat model. And so this is a general approach, and I did it in a public project. It's called the threat modeling of threat modeling. The threat modeling of threat modeling, threat modeling. And let's together take a look at the system diagram I chose. So here's basically developers who develop a product and system, which is then given to the world. And we want to enhance its security by threat modeling. And implementation of mitigations is basically the bridge between threat modeling and reality. But we can't assume everybody threat models already. So there's phase 0. How do we threat model? And I have the role process designers and managers who are in charge of basically deciding how we want to threat model in our vendor organization. And then people threat model and hopefully improve the system. So, and of course we can have the 4 phases. I assumed a 4-question framework approach. There's different artifacts. So the threat modeling program, threat models themselves, and mitigation issues. And what I also did is I basically looked for very common activities that people pursue and added them. So I'll just really quickly go over the phases. In what are we working on? We need to catch up on threat modeling for existing products. We need to also attach threat modeling into our software development life cycle and threat model new developments. We need to scope and represent the system. In what can go wrong, we need to discover threats, but we probably also want to unlock the wisdom from tools and apply them for our systems. And in what are we working on, we want to assess risk and plan mitigations. And then, of course, implement these mitigations. So we can look at this in more detail and ask, okay, when we do these things, what can go wrong? What are we going to do about it? So, and this is what, okay. And then, of course, there's the external world. So I also modeled the AppSec community and external AppSec and threat modeling service providers. So here's the website with the threat model. Can basically open the interactive version, which is always the latest version. And so it's a document with all these phases and threads related to the phases. And I'm just we'll quickly give a demo. We can't dive into this so much because we want the threat model together. But here's threat discovery. And there's threats related to blindness in threat discovery, threats related to blockers, threats related to relevance and focus. So, and here's an example I want to show you so you get the idea. So we can be concerned about that threat discovery is hard and threat models have a hard time to come up with threats, and especially newbies are overwhelmed. And then the threat model suggests mitigations. So here's general advice on how to make newbies more comfortable, give some permission to suck also. And then there's beginner-friendly resources. So this is just one example of a threat I came up with. But the idea is, okay, we look at our threat modeling efforts and really decide what can go wrong, what can we do about it, and basically foresee some of the problems that might occur and solve them before they happen. So this is my project. You are very much invited to check it out if you like and give some feedback on it. That would be awesome. So how can we threat model your threat modeling program, and how are these things related? So first, there's threat sources. Of course, we can look at us, or we can also get inspired by other people. we can look in the past and see what are the lessons we learned already, or we can really take a future perspective. So what can go wrong? Or as I say, danger is possibility of harm occurring. So we can really ask ourselves, okay, what is the future threats that we see? And of course, there's these generic threats that I found, and now you can basically make a likelihood impact assessment and ask yourself, okay, does this relate to us? Do we maybe prefer different mitigation? So this where we can really benefit from the project. And of course, we can go from generic to specific. So I basically had to threat model any kind of vendor, but of course you can take your specific company and take your actually selected tools, see how they fit together, ask yourself what are the questions, the threats related to them. And you can also go from generic actors to actual people and teams. So you know your teams, you know how are their capabilities, people in charge, what are their opinions about security, and you can really go very concrete. You don't have to solve threat modeling in general, but for you as a vendor. So these are some pointers. Yeah, and so the take-home message of the talk is basically we can threat model all kinds of things, including processes. You have seen the threat modeling of threat modeling and how it threat modeling. And you can threat model your program too. And so this is what we want to do now. And I very much invite you to join our interactive sessions. And I'm so curious what you will participate. So how is this going to work? We'll have a breakout session board. The board is really quite simple. It's just when we threat model, what can go wrong and what are we going to do about it? So each team gets their own trust zone where they can operate. The facilitators will share their screen and guide you through the discussions. And here's an example threat. So you may be concerned that threat models get outdated and someone else says, okay, have you heard of threat model every story? We can just keep at it. And someone else might suggest, or you should better look at the threat models every few months. And so this is how you can basically create problem solution mappings, or as I prefer to say, threat mitigation mappings, because remember, these are things that can go wrong. We're basically trying to threat model. Okay. And here's some prompts that might help guide your discussion. So the abstract question is, when we threat model, what can go wrong? What are we going to do about it? And it might be that right now an idea pops up in your head you're really concerned about. But what we also can do is we can go more specific. So you've seen the diagram earlier, and we can really dive into this in more detail, scope more narrow, and this will help us more easier find threats. So we might ask ourselves, when we start out, what can go wrong? What are we going to do about it? When we discover threats, what can go wrong? When we plan mitigations, when threat models communicate, and dive deeper. Okay, or we can, of course, learn from the past and basically ask ourselves in the breakout sessions, okay, what didn't work in your place and how did you fix it? Or you might have a current problem and someone else might have an idea how to solve it. So these are some ideas how to get your conversation going. Okay, and now can have the breakout sessions.
Wonderful. Thank you, Hendrik. So I'm going to send all of you to a breakout room. 10 seconds. And this breakout session will be for 22 minutes. Yeah, and you will get a notification 2 minutes before the session ends. Welcome back, everyone. That was a fruitful session. Thank you to all the facilitators for leading that. I am going to have Hendrik to help us lead the insight sharing and takeaway sharing session after this.
Yes, I'm sharing my screen, right? Okay, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so this was so cool, at least my session. I hope you, you enjoyed yours as well. Worked out quite well, I think. So in the insight sharing, we have 10 minutes to really gather what we've learned. And basically questions are, what have you learned methodically? So how did this all work out for you with the meta threat modeling? And then also what was on a content level? What was a remarkable threat? Did you come up with interesting mitigations? So I'll stop sharing. And I'd like everybody who wants to contribute some of the learnings to unmute and say what they have learned. Here you go.
I guess I can start if.
Hi, Mohammed.
Hey, Hendrik, how are you doing? So yeah, I think like we've identified multiple threats. Maybe like as an example, like one obvious one was, what if we don't catch all of the threats, which is always a possibility. Like you cannot catch all of the threats, and you should definitely be like focusing on catching the most important ones. We talked about multiple things, stuff in the process itself, having the right people involved. So like someone who's experienced in threat modeling, but also someone who's experienced in the application itself, and also someone who's experienced, let's say, in the other building blocks, like the cloud platform or whatever that you're building on, because all of these things contribute to finding like the right things that could go wrong with the application. And also, when the process has ended, we also discussed having the threat model as an active document. So you want to take feedback back into the threat model. Let's say if you have a miss, if you run a pen test, if you have a bug bounty program and you have a finding there that wasn't in your threat model, then you need to go and take that back and put it in your threat model, and then add it to your threat modeling process. If you have a threat modeling template or a threat catalog or whatever, you take that as a learning opportunity and you feed that back into your process so that you are getting better and better. Same for like, even if you run like a SAST scan and you have a finding, a valid finding that wasn't in your threat model. So any kind of finding you get that wasn't there, you kind of make it like an iterative process, and you learn and make it better and better. And then you're never going to be 100% sure that you caught everything. But if you make it this way, you make it less likely that you miss something important.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Thank you. Someone else?
Maybe I can go. As a facilitator, I was actually very intrigued by different questions of the participants. But one of them which stands out, and I think all of us have experienced those in our threat modeling journey, was how to convince the organization to do it.
Okay.
And that was the most interesting one. And I'm sharing this because out of all the questions, this was standing out, and all of us have experienced this, right? Whoever has, at whatever stage of journey that you are in. And the discussion was also very nice surrounding it, which was lead by example. If the organization is not being very supportive of you, maybe do something, find the team which is actually a little bit in favor of doing it, and then lead by example, which I think is a great point. And I think it is also a nice way to at least give it a try.
Yeah. When you told the problem, I was so curious about your mitigation, and I like it. Yeah, we had one person who was starting out, so this was really also an interesting question. So how do we get going and things like this? Yeah.
Yeah, in room 7, we also discussed how to convince people and management. We've got another idea. That's just one horrible pen test report can help, and just showing people what can go wrong. Truly, really. Yeah. Keep reminding them.
Yeah, thank you.
Can I go again? Because the
Yeah,
next
of
question was
course.
also
Yeah.
really nice.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I mean, the next question was also really, really nice because this is also something that we have heard a lot, right? And which is, do we have to do it now? So how to get teams time or onboarded onto your idea. So let's say you have started doing threat modeling within your organization. At what stage you're doing it? If you're not from a builders organization, right? So then it is more like, okay, yeah, we already have the application up and running. When test is giving us results and we are fixing it, what is the value with that? So at what stage we should say, do we have to do it now? So maybe I'll open this question to all of you to say, okay, what is your opinion about it?
Anytime is a good time, Amit.
Okay, that's true. That was the conclusion in the room as well.
No, I have two views. If you start with the threat model, then definitely you can generate your security requirements. But if you are doing a threat model of an application which is already running in production, then you can design the current state of security of your application. So it benefits at any point of time whenever you do in your software development lifecycle.
Yeah, I think the manifesto has something like as early as possible, but with the remark that people shouldn't think so, oh, we didn't start early, so bad luck for us. So I think that there's some double formulation about as early as possible, but threat modeling can also provide time later on, and really the idea to shift left and do it early is really also a good one, I think. So I would like to share one interesting thing from our session. So there was an interesting discussion about there's no one-size-fits-all threat modeling. And this is also why I had this process designer role in the diagram. So the solution was really to develop your own strategy and basically be quite concerned that you keep in mind that this is a people-focused activity, and really think about what is the security journey, how can we really embed it in the software development lifecycle. But you will have to need some custom things. So yeah, this was one interesting thing from our session, and there's some more, but yes, I think we run a bit out of time. So I want to thank you all for your time and for contributing. I have very few slides left. So here's again the take-home message. I've read it twice. So if you get inspired by the threat modeling of threat modeling, give some feedback. I hoped the approach worked well for you in the breakout session. I at least found it really interesting to see how it worked out in our group, and thank you all for contributing. So, and yeah, let's build secure system. And Shuning has some more information for you. So I'll stop sharing and give back to her. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Hendrik. Can we all give him a virtual round of applause for such a wonderful, amazing session? Yeah, it's one of the most well-prepared speaker we've ever had. And also give a round of virtual applause to our amazing facilitators. They're the magic, the soul behind these discussions that really bring people together to have this meaningful conversation. So thank you all our facilitators. And thank you everyone for participating. Without your participation, we won't have this interesting and dynamic exchange. So thank you for actively participating and sharing your experience, knowing that this is a safe place and supportive place, no judgment. And I'm very excited to seeing all of you again next month. I'm going to put in the chat 3 quick links. One is our next meetup next month on September 19th. We have our community member Matthew McDonald's from ServiceNow. He will be sharing a very interesting topic around an app and object-oriented approach to threat modeling. So next month, we're going to have a discussions around what are the different approaches that you're using to tackle your threat modeling. And Matthew will share his approach, but obviously we'll have this kind of discussion again. And if you would be interested in becoming our monthly speaker, the door is always open. We have an ongoing CFP for the meetup. If it's a CFP, but it's nothing too crazy, again, right? This is all about we sharing what we're doing and getting feedback from each other. So yeah, you see us this not so much a rejection or acceptance kind of CFP. It's just more of if you have ideas that you share with the community, put it out there, and we have a team that will work with you to refine some of the talks, or we feel this is just ready to go. So just if you're interested in becoming a speaker, putting your talk topics there. And finally, ThreatModelCon 2020 for San Francisco. We're so excited to have our edition. And if you've been here, if you've been in the DC one or last year, that's awesome. If you've been in the Lisbon one or first European edition, know how wonderful it is. Yeah, I hope if you're here, you can come in and don't miss out on our annual conference. For a limited time only, we're running a member-only sale for 35% off. You can use the code is Connect35. If you use the link in the chat, it's the code embedded already. All right, so that's the 3 things I want to share with all of you. I hope to see you all next month. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.